You've probably seen this headline floating around, right? Quantum AI decodes the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And when you see something like that, I mean, come on. Part of you is like, yeah, right, but another part is kind of intrigued, isn't it? That's exactly the space we're going to jump into today. That wild intersection of ancient wisdom, cutting-edge tech, and, well, let's be honest, viral clickbait. So the story that's blowing up online is it's super compelling. The claim is that some super smart AI didn't just translate this ancient book, it cracked the code. It supposedly figured out that this text is actually a technical manual for the physics of consciousness. I mean, it sounded something straight out of a movie, right? And that, of course, brings us to the big question. How much of this is actually real? What's the truth behind all the hype? Okay, let's get into it. We're going to peel back the layers and separate fact from fiction, starting with the story that's got everyone's attention. All right, first up, let's really break down what these viral videos are claiming. The story they're telling is really slick, it's dramatic, and it's perfectly crafted to make you feel like, whoa, this changes everything. So here's the epic tale they're weaving. They say an AI was fed the Tibetan text alongside a bunch of neuroscience data. And what does it find? Hidden mathematical patterns that, get this, perfectly match quantum physics. All of a sudden, these 6 bardos, these in-between states, they aren't spiritual concepts anymore, they're quantum transitions. The luminous void, that's just the quantum vacuum. And all those deities, oh, those are just probability fields. And the big finale, your consciousness isn't just in your head. It's part of some universal field. And death is just a phase change, like ice turning to water. It's a massive, world-altering idea. Okay, so is any of that true? This is where we gotta pump the brakes a little and put on our myth-busting hats. Let's compare the Hollywood version we're seeing online with what's actually happening in the real world of science. And this is where you start to see the gap between the story and the reality. The viral claim is all about a specific AI that made this incredible breakthrough. But the reality? Well, there's no public, peer-reviewed project like that. It just doesn't exist. The videos promise this sudden revolution, this everything changes now moment. But real science? It's slow, it's careful, it's full of arguments and debate. And while the stories hint to these secret labs, the real work is being done by institutions like the Mind and Life Institute, who've been hosting open talks between the Dalai Lama and scientists for decades. It's not a secret. So, here's the bottom line. The quantum AI that's the hero of so many of these videos, it's fictional. It was made up. It's a storytelling tool, a character created to get millions of views. And look, it's great entertainment, for sure, but it's not verified science. Okay, so now that we've kind of pulled the plug on the AI myth, let's talk about the real text at the heart of all this, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, also known as the Bardo Thodol. And honestly, what it's actually for is maybe even more interesting. The key idea here is the word bardo. All it really means is an in-between state. And this isn't just about what happens after you die. The tradition talks about the bardo of dreaming, the bardo of meditation, even the bardo of this very life that you're in right now. It's all an in-between. So what is this book really? Well, it's a bunch of things. It's a practical guide, it's used as a ritual to help guide someone who is dying, but it's also, and this is key, an instruction manual for people who are alive. You could think of it like a phenomenology manual, a really structured map of your inner world, your inner experience. And on that map, all those deities and demons, they're not external beings. They're just projections of your own mind, your karma, your fears, your moments of clarity. And the whole point of the map is to help you recognize the clear light of just pure basic awareness. All right, let's switch gears and clear up the other half of the equation, the actual science. How in the world does quantum physics get tangled up so easily in these big conversations about consciousness? You know, the biggest culprit here is probably the observer effect. The popular idea, the misconception, is that reality literally changes because a conscious human is looking at it. But in physics, an observer is just any interaction at all that makes a quantum system pick a definite state. It could be a particle detector, it could be a photon bouncing off of it. It doesn't need a person with a PhD and a cup of coffee watching. And because of all these little details, real researchers who work at this intersection of Buddhism and physics, they are super careful. They're always warning people not to just force a simple one-to-one match. Yeah, the two systems ask some similar questions about reality and observation, but they use totally different languages and methods. They aren't secretly the same thing. So where are the real connections then? Where do these worlds actually overlap in a grounded way? Well, it's in the data.
We have huge studies of near-death experiences, and they find these recurring themes over and over. Tunnels of light, life reviews, across totally different cultures. And neuroscience shows us that people who've meditated for a long time have actual measurable changes in the parts of their brain related to attention and their sense of self. So what both of these areas suggest is that consciousness, under extreme conditions, can take on these predictable, structured forms, which is exactly the kind of inner world the bardo thodol was trying to map out.
And this brings us right back to the big mystery, doesn't it? Could some future theory, whether it's quantum or something else entirely, finally tie all of these different experiences together? That is the really exciting open question that actual scientists are working on. The mystery isn't some solved conspiracy theory, it's a real active frontier of discovery.
Okay, so after all that, after debunking the hype, digging into the real science and the real text, what does any of this mean for you, like right now in your life? Let's bring this home and make it super practical.
Here's the central teaching, once you strip away all the jargon and quantum speak. The way you deal with stress today, the mental habits you run on autopilot every single hour, that is your training. You are, right now, literally writing the code for how your own awareness is going to handle crisis, trauma, and, yeah, even death. Every time you react a certain way, you're carving that mental groove just a little bit deeper. And the cool thing is, you can actually work with this right now. Here's a super simple, totally secular version of what you could call bardo training. First, a daily awareness check. Just for 5 or 10 minutes, notice your thoughts coming and going like clouds in the sky. Don't grab them, just watch. Second, a micro practice. The next time you feel that spike of stress or anger, just for a second, notice the physical feeling in your body before you react. And third, a nightly life review. Before you go to sleep, just think of 3 times you reacted on total autopilot during the day, and 1 moment where you actually managed to pause, even for a split second. You know, this all points to this really profound principle from the tradition, which is recognition is liberation. The whole idea is that the moment you can clearly see what's happening in your mind, the moment you can say, oh, that's anxiety, or there's that anger again, that very act of seeing it clearly creates a little bit of space. And in that space, you're not totally owned by it anymore. And that really leaves us with one final question for you to take with you. If just recognizing a state of mind can start to free you from it, what's one thing, one pattern, one habit, one feeling that you can recognize in your own mind today?